Over the past 13 years, I have worked with, trained, and built remote EA teams that helps founders and executives across different businesses. And in that time, there are three things that I keep coming back to. Three things that when they are consistently in your weekly sync with your EA, actually gives you your time back. Let's talk about them in this video. Hey friends, I want to ask you something. When you get on your weekly calls with your EA, what happens? If you're being honest, it probably goes something like this. You jump on, you talk about what is most urgent right now. Your EA asks you a few questions, you answer them, and maybe you remember something else that needs to get done. And then you hung up. And within a couple of hours, something falls through the cracks. Or you realize you forgot to mention something important. Or your EA sends you a message asking about something that should have been covered in your weekly sync. And you think, didn't we just talk? Here's what's actually happening. That meeting has no structure. And without structure, your EA cannot prepare. They cannot anticipate. They cannot come to that call ready to handle things on your behalf. They are just showing up and waiting to see what you bring up. And so are you. Which means you are both walking out of that meeting reactive for the rest of the week. I made this exact mistake in my business for years. I would show up in our internal meetings, figure it out as we went, and then I wonder why I still felt like the only person who knew what was going on. The answer wasn't my team, it was me. I had never built the structure that allows them to actually lead. So I built it, and once I did, everything changed. Because here's the truth, you're not getting your time back just by hiring an EA. You are getting your time back when you have an EA who knows exactly what to bring to the table every single week. And that starts with what you are about to learn in this video. Number 1, calendar review. So the first thing that needs to happen in every weekly sync is a full calendar review. And I want to be specific about what this looks like, because this is not you and your EA scrolling through the week together. Your EA comes to this call already prepared. First, identify your priorities for the week. What are the most important things on your schedule? What absolutely cannot move? What deserves your best energy and your full focus? You need to communicate this with your EA so that before the week even starts, you both have the same picture of what actually matters. Second, your EA will flag every conflict and every overlap on your calendar. 2 meetings that are happening at the same time, or a meeting that now runs directly to a flight. All of it. And here's the key part. They are not just flagging it. They are coming to you with a recommendation. This is something I hold firm with my own team. Do not come to me with a problem without also bringing a recommendation for how to solve it. That is the difference between an EA that saves you time and an EA that creates more work for you. Third, you and your EA need to flag any upcoming travel. Not just what is on the calendar next week, anything coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks that needs to be booked, planned, or prepped for. What needs to shift while you're traveling? What needs to be ready before you leave? Your EA is thinking ahead so you do not have to. And when all those 3 things are covered during your sync, that meeting just becomes the most productive 30 minutes of your entire week. Number 2 was what I like to call closing the loop. And this is the one that most founders completely miss. Here's what's happening without it. You assign something to your EA, a project, a task, a follow-up. The week goes on. And somewhere between that conversation and right now, you stop knowing where it stands. Not because your EA did not work on it, but because there was never a dedicated moment to come back to it and say, here's where we stand. And so things drift. Deadlines get close without anyone realizing it. Something you thought was in progress has not yet started, and you find out at the worst time possible. Closing the loop fixes this. In every weekly sync, your EA gives you a brief update on every active project, where it stands, what happened since last week, and what's next. Not a long report, not a full presentation, just here's the current status, here's what I need from you if anything, and here's what I'm going to do next. And if something is blocked, they tell you what exactly is blocking it and what they recommend doing about it, right there in the meeting. not in a follow up message, not 3 days later when it becomes urgent. In the sync. This one section changes the way you work together more than anything else. Because when your EA know that every single week they need to speak about the status of everything in motion, they stay on top of it. They track it. They follow up proactively. Because the structure makes it natural. And you stop being the person who has to chase. That is time back in your week every single week. Number three is the part where your EA brings everything that needs your attention before the week runs from both of you. And this is really important because one of the biggest ways founders lose their time is not from big decisions. It is from small things that pile up. The email that needs response 3 days ago, the request that came in but never surfaced, the decision that has been sitting in your EA's queue because they were not sure if they needed your input. All of that lives in this section. Your EA comes prepared with a short list. Two categories. First, anything that came up in your inbox that needs your input or approval. Your EA is managing your email. They are triaging it, drafting responses, handling what they can handle. But every week, there will be things that need you directly. A decision that affects budget or scope, a client situation that needs your voice, something sensitive that they should not respond to without your direction. Your EA services all of it here. And they do not just hand you a list. They tell you what they think should happen and what they need from you to move forward. Your job in this section is simple. Hear it, decide, move on. No long discussions, no email chains. You give direction and your EA goes and handles it. Second, anything that came to your EA directly from people requesting something from you. This happened more than most founders realize. Team members, vendors, clients, collaborators, reaching out to your EA to get something on your radar. Your EA collects all of it and brings it here, so nothing gets missed. And you are not finding out about a request a week late because it was sitting somewhere waiting for the right moment. The right moment is the weekly sync every time. So those are the three things: calendar review, closing the loop, questions, and reminders for you. And here's what I really want you to take away from this. You hired an EA because you wanted more time, more focus, more capacity to work on the things that only you can do. But the EA alone does not give you that. The structure gives you that. When your EA walks into the weekly sync prepared, with your calendar already reviewed, with every active project accounted for, and with every item surfaced and ready for your decision, you stop being the bottleneck. You stop spending your days reacting to things that should have been handled already. And you start showing up to your week with clarity instead of catching up. This is what you paid for when you hire an EA, not a task manager. A thought partner who runs alongside you and make sure nothing falls through the cracks. But they can only do that when the structure exists. So build it. Put these three things on the agenda. Run it every week without skipping. And feel free to share this with your EA before your next sync so you are both coming in with the same framework. Because the sooner you both have the same picture of what this meeting needs to do, the sooner you start actually getting your time back. So which of these three is the one your current sync is missing? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely read every single one, and it helps me to know what to cover next. And if this was helpful and you want to keep building a team that keeps giving you your time and your focus back, feel free to subscribe. This is exactly what this channel is about. I will see you in the next one.